What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Well, tonight we got something very different to talk about, and it's something it's very different. It's symbolism. Now, I guess let's start at the beginning. I guess so. Always start at the beginning, right? Makes sense. So, a couple years ago, I became a Freemason, and once I got raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason, you start to realize all these symbols in Masonry have a lot of meaning, and they're very ancient. Now, some of the symbols have different meanings from things that they've been taken into other cultures and stuff like that. But the original origins of these symbols, like the square and compass and things like that, have very, very specific meanings, and we hold symbolism in general in very high regard. Now, I have actually always been into symbolism. If you look at me, just how I'm tatted up, I have like a cross on my arm over here. I have like the 5%, which is the symbol of course, the 5%ers. I have the symbol of the bulldog, which is strength, the symbol of the flag, which is the symbol of America, lucky dog, which is actually a symbol of somebody being lucky. So everything is tied into symbols. You know, they have the Bruno's paw, that's his symbol, that's Nico's symbol. So I have these different symbols that are on my body, and I've always been into symbolism, essentially. Always had, drawing on my clothes and stuff with markers that I shouldn't, stuff like that. And I just got more into it and understood it more as I became a Freemason, symbols. So why are we talking about this today? So I recently came out with a new clothing line called Peacefully Violent. Now, this clothing line is very different than anything I've done before. It's based on the fact that most of us are pretty good people. Even people that are very violent at times can be very peaceful. So we have these two sides, one that's very peaceful and one that's very violent. And everybody has these two sides, like the little angel and the devil inside of you that fight back and forth. Now, the concept is I am very much hippie. I guess you could say within the last few years I've gone very hippie. But at the same time, if you cross me and try to hurt me or my family or something, I'm going to fight back. So therefore, I'm not one of these hippies that, when we think of hippies, we think of those people that like hug trees and sing Kumbaya and all this shit with the headbands on and the round John Lennon glasses and shit. But modern day hippies are like me. They're very calm. They're very, in tune with themselves, nature, things around them, other people, and good people at nature, but they still have that part where they'll fight back if they need to for survival or to defend themselves. Peacefully violent. That's what we all are. So to me, that made sense to call the new clothing line Peacefully Violent. Now, this is probably my favorite shirt that I'm actually wearing right here. The Racism Sucks tee. Now, I love this shirt. Now, first of all, people right off the bat, reason why we're talking about symbolism tonight is they saw the two S's in this. Technically, there's three. They saw the S's, and some people get offended. They were like, Jerry, you know what those two S's stand for. First of all, the whole font itself is a font based on the old KISS symbol, right? The band KISS. They use those two S's side by side, which look like Nazi symbols, for 30, 40, 50 years now. And people are not going, oh my God, it's KISS. They're not saying that. But they looked at my design and automatically said Nazi. And I had to go through a discussion. My boy Kyle, thanks for bringing this up, because actually it spawned this video, to explain what these symbols are on here, how they got here, and why I have them on this shirt. So number one, we're going to start with the Nazis. Let's go with the Nazis, right? So these symbols, specifically the S's, are actually an ancient rune, the S, which is for sun. Now, the Nazis adopted these and turned them into the SS, or the pins that they used to wear. That's not where it originates from. It originates from an ancient rune that was the symbol of the sun. So when they were writing back then with these runes instead of letters, that S would symbolize the sun. S, sun, actually makes kind of sense to us now, right? The Nazis were masters at taking things in basically erasing history. Nazis did that. They were trying to erase history in general by eradicating, millions and millions of people and everything about their culture. They did the same thing with symbolism. They tried to eradicate anything that had anything to do with it, so now it just stood for what they wanted it to stand for. However, my feeling was, why the fuck are we going to let them do that? Why are we going to let them, 50 years after the war is over, why are we going to let the Nazis win? And what I mean by that is, why are we going to be fearful for using an actual design or a symbol or a letter or something that they bastardized and stole? They lost. They're no longer here. Why would we let them continue to have the power over that ancient symbol that actually is something good and be offended and not using it? That's like black people like to explain how they use the N-word all the time. They say, we use it because we're taking back control. We're taking the power away from that word, and we're giving the power back to us. So as we say it to each other, we're taking the power back. We're taking that away from the white people that are racist and use that word, which makes a lot of sense. You're giving power back to yourself. You're taking it away from someone else. Makes complete sense. I completely agree with that. That was my goal. My goal was to take this back. Now, get this. I want to read this just so I can read it to make sure I get the right thing, because I'm not from Denmark, so I don't really know. But I have a friend, Jacob, from Denmark, who I've known a long time. In Denmark, the runes have become an important part of the country's national identity and commonly appear in comic strips, TV shows, and even on the jerseys of both men's and women's national football teams. Denmark have drawn inspiration from runes as national symbols, which can maintain a sense of identity and community. Ultimately, the abuse of runic writing may become a mere footnote in the broader history. Nonetheless, we should also learn from this history to prevent such a misuse in the future. So Denmark has adopted these certain runes. They're part of their culture now, and they reclaimed them. They took them back from the Nazis. And that's the whole point I'm trying to get at, to prevent such misuse in the future. If we take these symbols back, it doesn't allow these other people or organizations, ideologies, or whatever to use it, because more of us than there are of them, and we keep possession of those symbols, of those whatever, these letters, symbols, ideas, whatever. And I stepped back, I said, this is what I'm going to do. You know, I am a Kiss fan, I think that's cool. You know, I like the lightning bolt itself in there because it reminds me of the Flash, the comic book character. But the two S's just happens to be racism sucks, right? So the message is racism sucks, which we agree with. But then you put the two S's and it's almost like a slap in the face to the Nazis, because we're saying racism sucks. Now, it wasn't racism against black people, but they hated Jews. They hated anybody that wasn't German. So any race other than theirs, they friggin' hated. So it's a slap in the face to them and say, hey, we're taking back control. Fuck you, this is ours. That was the whole point of the shirt. You know, and I think a lot of people don't understand that these symbols, the swastika, for example, perfect example. The swastika, when people see that, they fucking melt down. They go fucking nuts. Well, my wife and I walked into it was like a little shop that had, like, you know, bowls and vases and shit like that. And it was a very, like, hippie, like one of those, they sell crystals and shit like that. And they had these bowls that had the swastika on it. I just kind of smiled. And I don't think, you know, I don't think people in the store noticed, but I smiled because I knew what it was. It wasn't Nazis. It wasn't about Nazis. And I remember there were a couple people in the store walking around and they had like pentagrams. And some pentagrams, we know them as being like evil, right? We'll get into some of that in a second. But they were talking about like, oh, Nazi, swastika, Nazi. And they were like, oh, racism. They were actually, I heard them, right? Because it's like this little store, right? And it didn't dawn on me that they don't know. They don't know what that means or where it came from. Now, this crystal store is a very spiritual store. The swastika itself actually comes from Buddhism. It is a Buddhist symbol that the Nazis took. Now, the Buddhist symbol, the Buddhist symbol, essentially, what the swastika means is well-being, right? That's what it means. But it also has a second description as being Buddha's footprint or footprints. It's either footprint or footprints. That is what the swastika really is. The Nazis saw it and said, we're going to take it and turn it into something else, and they did. Now, my thing is, the Buddhists never let go of it. The Nazis took control, and the Buddhists like, do whatever the fuck you want because they're peaceful people, whatever. These motherfuckers are gone. The Nazis are gone. The Buddhists still have claim over that. But people remember the history. They remember the bastardization of the swastika by the Nazis, and that's all they know. Now, you can't move forward in life. You can't put the Nazi Germany whole event to bed until you take control back over that shit and say, it's fucking done. This is the way I'm going. If you allow them to control you to not use a swastika, not use those S's because they are good symbols that are ancient symbols, because the Nazis used them and you don't want to be considered a Nazi or offend anybody, you're still letting them win. Their plan is working. Even though they're all gone and dead, they're still controlling people by making them not use the symbols that represent them. The Nazis totally tried to destroy all history. They tried to eradicate all history. Why are we not taking these symbols back away from them, eradicating their history, remembering that they were there and what they did, but saying these are not your symbols, these are ours, go fuck yourself, we take them back. That was my whole plan. That was something that was really intense to me, and it means a lot. And while we were in that store, we saw the pentagrams and stuff, and I do know what the blazing star is and what it means. And I think that probably one of the most recognized symbols and the most confused symbols is the upside down cross, the inverted cross. When people see the inverted cross, the first thing that they think of is Satan, the devil. And they think of it as a negative, evil, bad symbol, and anybody that has it on them is bad. Now, I would say probably for the first, Well, I'm 45. I'm going to be 45 next week. So the first, excuse me, about 38 years of my life before I really started delving into these, these symbols and religion and spirituality, all the stuff that you've seen the change in me in the last, 4 or 5 years. It wasn't then until I learned that that inverted cross is a very positive, uplifting, and loving symbol. Now you might say, well, Jerry, how can a cross, a cross itself is the most loving symbol that there is. If you flip it upside down, how does it make it more loving? Well, here's the story, and I can't remember whether it was Paul or Peter. I'm not the best for remembering Bible names, but it was either Paul or Peter. When Jesus was crucified, he was crucified on the crucifix, right? When it was either Paul or Peter, whichever one, they were going to be crucified next to Jesus. And they asked to be crucified upside down because they were not worthy to be crucified upright next to Jesus. They chose to give Jesus that amount of respect for the rest of history to be recorded, to show him that much love that he was the one that deserved to be up there. Not deserved to be up there, but he was the one that sacrificed. And they're just being punished. They're below him, and they actually felt that way. Now, whether you feel this way, it doesn't matter. This is the Bible. So they felt below him like they weren't good enough, right? They didn't deserve to be crucified on a regular cross. They were crucified on the upside-down inverted crosses to show their love for Christ as they died. Now, when you put that all together, when I see that symbol now, I go, it could be a satanic symbol. It could be somebody who actually knows history. Could be somebody that knows symbolism. It could be not like my mind has changed because I've studied and opened my mind. And I've learned a lot of things. I've grown as a person. The problem is, if you're stuck with the swastika is bad, the SS is bad, the upside down cross is bad, the pentagram is bad, if you're stuck with all these things being bad, your mind isn't open. It's not growing, right? You're not understanding. You're not learning the facts and where these come from. You're not learning history. You're giving history away and making it like it didn't exist, which is exactly what the people who stole these symbols wanted. You're playing into their plan, whether they're alive, dead, or whatever the case may be. The people that stole these, Nazis are dead. You're still playing into their plan 50 years later, responding to something they did when they're dead, because you're still scared and uneducated about what these things are and how they work. Now, is it going to offend some people? Everything offends some people. Everything I say offends some people. Everything I do offends some people. I have my hair up in a man bun today. That might offend some people. If I put it down tomorrow, it might offend some people. I dyed my beard. That might offend some people. If I let it go gray, that might offend some people. If I let it grow longer, everything you do is going to offend somebody. So you might as well make it good. And what I mean by that is make it worth something. You know what I mean? Make that instance of upsetting somebody worth something. So go out there, and if you're going to upset this person, well, 100 other people, teach them. 100 other people, uplift them by giving them the real information, by giving them the history, by teaching them something, not just arguing with them online. That's why my boy Kyle, that was on my Facebook, I think, he was just like, ooh, geez. And I was like, okay, here's the deal, man. Like, this is what it is. And he's like, no. And like, I think he thought I was getting heated, but I really wasn't. I hate putting stuff up because when you text, I feel like the tone doesn't really come across. I'm a better talker than I am a typer. And when, after I explained or whatever, and he hit the like button, I was like, cool. So he understands what I'm saying. I was like, you know what? I don't even know how that point got across. I need to film the video because I think the video would definitely, get the point across a lot better. So my thing is here, listen, guys, you can either let these groups like the Nazis, Satanism, whatever, control you, take whatever they want, and they decide whether you believe this is right or that's wrong or whatever the case may be, or you can decide for yourself and take that shit back yourself, right? Denmark took the runes back themselves. I took the lightning bolts back myself. I took that purposely so that I could have this opportunity to do something positive with something negative. Just like my teacher, and I was talking to somebody else the other night, my principal in high school, 15 years old. Jerry, you have to turn a negative into a positive. Always turn a negative into a positive. Take the negative, turn it into a positive. Negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. Oh, I was talking to Rob Bailey. I was messaging with Rob Bailey. And we were talking about turning a negative into a positive. This is my way of turning a negative into a positive. And it's a slap in the face at the same time. Saying racism sucks with the 2 lightning bolts in, or 3 lightning bolts in there. That's a slap in the face. That's like saying your racism shit sucks and those symbols don't belong to you anymore. This shirt to me means so much, and I don't think you guys understand that, but it's literally probably a very basic design, but the meaning behind it, the tone behind it, the symbolism behind it there's much more than just the t-shirt. In the back it says peacefully violent in small letters on the back, which most of the shirts that I design, I like to put front and back things on them. I just have always been into back-sided tees. So there's a design on the front, usually just the name on the back and whatever fonts or something or a little design, I'll put them on there. But I create them myself. I come up with the concepts, I design them, and I sell them on my website. Like, that's what I do. So this was my way of trying to distribute my feelings about racism. Racism sucks. It's 2020 and we're here and racism still fucking sucks. And at the same time, these symbols, they don't belong to the fucking Nazis. No, they were the big time fucking racists. Well, I'm not talking just about, I think most people look at it and they think, well, Jerry's talking about racism, he's talking about black people. I'm talking about everybody. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you think another race is below you, this is for you. Racism sucks. And I hope you learn that lesson at some point. And I really feel like you'll live a more fulfilling life if you realize that racism sucks and squash that shit. And people are always saying stuff like, well, you know, people are all talk. And I say this too. People all talk. They don't fucking do. They don't act. I've been putting out video after content, trying to just spark ideas or trying to build up a dialogue between people about racism, because after you have the dialogue, once you talk, then you can take action once you decide, right? So that's my thing. I'm trying to help people decide what actions to take other ways, through posts, through videos, etc. I'm also trying to express myself through my clothing, which I think is important, but I'm also trying to get people to understand that, you know, when you see something like this, the initial message, when you see it, racism sucks. And then other people are going to be like, fuck yeah, we were at the mall and eating, and fucking people were complimenting me at the mall. Love your shirt, love your shirt. They didn't know it was mine. They thought I bought it at the mall or something probably, right? I'm like, oh, thanks. Nobody had shit to say. But every once in a while, there's going to be that person that sees those lightning bolts or those little, you know, the S's that they see. These are not even lightning bolts. They're just S's. That's more like the real lightning bolt, which I think it looks like the Flash. And maybe have that thought in their head. And I'm like, well, here's my chance. Here's my chance to educate people and get them to take those symbols back away from the Nazis too. Like, this is my chance to get them educated, right? So many of you may not know this. Like, I go out a lot of times without, you know, my long sleeves or whatnot, and people see my tattoos and people go, well, Jerry, don't you get pissed that people treat you weird with your tattoos? And I said, no. When people look at my tattoos and they get kind of scared, I smile at them and I say hi. I'm like, how you doing? You know, and I come with a friendly tone. I just be myself. And most of the time they're like, hey. I'm like, so I go, and oh, just check out my tattoos, huh? Yeah, well, and I start talking about them. Or people would just kind of look at them and be like, yeah, you know, I got a couple spots left. I'll fill them in somewhere, you know. Like, when you talk to people that are scared of you because you have tattoos, they think you're in jail, they think you're a gangster, whatever the case may be, and they start to realize that, hey, you're nice, you're intelligent. Well, this is not who I thought this guy was on first glance. And my wife likes to say that, like, you don't know how you look. Like, you look like a fucking degenerate. Like, people look at you and they go, what the fuck? Like, the average person does not know that you're a good person. They just think you're a fucking psycho. And I'm like, that's cool, because what I want them to do is have an interaction with me and realize that, hey, if this guy's like that, maybe other tattooed people are like, no, don't get me wrong, there's assholes everywhere. So there are tattooed people that are douchebags. But, you know, I want them to come away having a positive experience, saying next time they see somebody with sleeves, that guy might be a tattoo artist. You know, they're all sleeved up, have them on their face and stuff. Super nice people, got families and stuff, you know, pay their taxes, do the right thing. And, you know, they're looked at as, you know, prisoners or something, or former felons or whatever the case may be, because of their tattoos. Well, maybe having an interaction with me will change their mind about the next person that they see with tattoos. So I'm always out there trying to bring some kind of positivity from the negativity. And this is one of the ways with this shirt. So I implore you guys, these are for sale right now. I'm going to put the link down in the description box below. If you guys want to get them and wear them, I would greatly appreciate it if you do. Make sure you do me a favor and actually take a picture of it, wearing it, send it to me, and I'll repost it on my social media and stuff. Because I really do feel like taking these symbols, words, everything back from the scum that took them, from the disgusting, vile people that took them and turned them into something negative, it's our job. They took them and we need to take them back. We need to put that shit in the past and say this is our past and we'll never let it happen again, and move forward. And you don't move forward still living under the guise that we can't do this, we can't do that, because people that died 50 years ago, you know, did that. And I don't want the people nowadays to be offended. Well, wear the shirt and then educate people when they say something to you. Right? If somebody says something, you say, look, this is actually, and then write what I did. Tell them. Right? I sat down to do this video for you guys. Somebody says something to you, explain it to them. Hey, these are actually runes. Denmark, this is actually a big thing. They use it to promote all these different things. They actually took this back from the Nazis. Like, have that discussion. Don't be afraid to go out there and be a human being. Right? It's not about the next fucking car you're going to get. It's not about the fucking next testosterone shot. It's not about the next fucking pair of Jordans you're going to get. interacting with people is important too. Getting out there and talking to other people and interacting and being a positive influence is a big thing towards changing the world. People always say, well, what are you going to do to change the world? It starts with you. It starts with how you act. It starts with how you treat other people. It starts with the positivity you put out or the negativity. Whichever you put out is going to come back to you. Whichever one you put out, that's going to resonate. It's like a ripple in the water. It's going to resonate and just keep going further and further out and affecting more people. If it's positive, it's going to be positivity. If it's negative, it's going to be negativity. So now you have a chance. You matter. I matter. We all matter on this fucking earth. And the bottom line is we have a chance now. A lot of bullshit. A lot of people fucking upset about racism and stuff like that going on right now. Here's your chance to make a statement. I made it today when I walked out of the house with the shirt. I'm super proud of it. I love it. I'm excited that this thing is something that I do believe is changing people's minds. There's discussions happening already on my Facebook because of it. And this video is being made with a lot of information going out because I wore this damn shirt and I put it on social media. What more can I ask for a t-shirt? You know what I mean? Thank you guys for listening, and remember, always turn a positive into a negative. Or turn a negative into a positive. Oh, I fucked up the whole video. I went through the whole video good, not making mistakes. Turn a negative into a positive. It's late, guys. It's like, I don't know what time it is. I don't even remember watching. It's late. But anyways, make sure that you guys check it out in the description box below. And thank you guys for the support. Thank you for understanding. And hopefully, we can make a change, even if it's a small change. Small changes usually lead to big changes eventually. But you got to start somewhere with the small change. BicepsCheng@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BicepsCheng.com is a blog. It's a racism sucks bicep. Yes, it does. And we are out.